Well, hello, here we are. I'm Tim Maloney, and I'm joined here by Paula Bailey in Reading, England. She's a secondary school computer science teacher there, and she's going to be helping with this interview. Now, today, we're just choosing at random from a number of topics that I've chosen, but we're going to talk a little bit about Alder High School back in the 1960s when I attended. I'm an Alder 1967 graduate. And back at that time, we had a principal named Father Edward Haskamp. And I think you can see a picture of him right here. This is his portrait from the lobby at Alter, done up, sometime after he left, but he was our longtime principal back in the 60s and I think into the 70s. Someone eventually pointed out that there was a comedy series on TV at the time I was a student, and a character, Captain Binghamton, in that comedy series, McHale's Navy, played by Joe Flynn, shown here. Not only did Joe Flynn have a physical resemblance to Father Haskamp with the glasses and all that, but he had a leadership dilemma, very humorously portrayed in the comedy series, that kind of resembled Father Haskamp's dilemma. Captain Binghamton was, short and not physically dominant, and yet he was overshadowed by the likes of Ernest Borgnine in the comedy series. And of course, this was a U.S. Navy comedy set at the end of World War II in a tropical paradise where the Japanese were all but defeated. And Captain Binghamton's fun-loving crew was always working behind his back to undermine his authority while, of course, sucking up to him when they were in front of him. So Father Haskamp had the same sort of problem with fun-loving students and physical dominance by some of the larger students and so on, and myself not included. But he had a strategy. He had 4 very large priests to be the enforcers. I guess maybe even more than 4, but there was, everybody remembers Father Jansen, Father Knoll, Father Casing, and Father Schaefer, very large men, later to be called the front 4 of the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, in my case, this was a bit of an anachronism because the Cincinnati Bengals didn't even exist until a few years after my 1967 graduation. Nonetheless, Father Haskamp was, just like Captain Binghamton, by all rights, by all standard measures, a very good leader, just as Captain Binghamton was a good naval officer, did everything by the book and as it should be. It's just, it was hard to take him seriously. But, Captain Binghamton survived and his crew did okay. And, everything was fine at the end of a 30-minute episode. In the same way, Father Haskamp, I guess in retrospect, governed rather effectively and had these large priest enforcers to help him out.
Did he know
yes.
Did he know who you thought? Oh dear! Did he know who you thought that he looked like?
You'll have to repeat that. What?
Oh, sorry. Did he know who you thought he looked like?
Well, no, this comparison wasn't made to my knowledge while I was a student. It was years later that someone from the class of '66, the class ahead of us, the first graduating class, someone from '66 put a juxtaposition picture like this on Facebook, and maybe 10 years ago or so. And I said, "Oh, perfect." Or if we ever said that he was like Captain Binghamton, we never we really couldn't for a long time go to the internet and just, grab a picture of Joe Flynn as Captain Binghamton, let alone have a photo of the portrait in the lobby, available on our computers. So it took a lot of computer technology to put this juxtaposition together and comment on it. Just so you know where these things come from. But yeah, the leadership observations there are, quite quite pertinent.
What was he like as a person then?
Oh, Father Haskamp, the principal, he was a very authoritative figure, and yet, in private, if you were called in to talk to him one-on-one or something, he could be very engaging and gentle and understanding.
Hmm.
But of course, in public, he was the rather stern-faced authority figure. Now, oh yeah, our recent 55th reunion, we saw someone, Mike Boble, who was a big friendly guy that everybody liked, and we wondered what happened to him. I never heard anything from him a few years after graduation. Well, he ended up working for the CIA and retired, well, about 10, 12 years ago. Then his wife was sick and she died a while ago. So he finally showed up at a reunion by surprise in October of this year. This past year being 2022. And he relayed a story of himself and another one of our students who was, pretty good student and well liked and nice, named Rick Nelson. He and Rick did an announcement over the PA system one afternoon about an upcoming dance and had some kind of narrative like, you don't have to put on a suit and tie for this dance. You can dress casually. In fact, then they made up a name of a girl, like, let's say it was Mary Kelly. We didn't have a Mary Kelly. And, Mary Kelly says she's not going to wear any clothes at all. After which the priest, Father Haskamp actually, now what was that all about, gentlemen? And, Father Shaper had approved our script. Father Shaper may not have read the script or may have been messing with his boss. Oh, sorry, I didn't read that carefully enough, Ed. One might imagine, but I said, well, good for you, Mike. You and Rick got away with nudity on the radio.
Yeah, it's quite outrageous.
It's just an
Actually.
announcement. It's just audio. Yeah.
Did a lot of people go to the dance though?
Well, I must have witnessed that from a student's chair and thought nothing of it because I don't really remember it. And it didn't even occur to me, oh, those guys are going to be in trouble for saying that.
Yeah.
That just didn't even occur to me well enough to remember it 50 years later. Now, a lot of things I do remember 50 years later, but not that in particular.
Well, one imagines a Catholic school, especially in your time, to be quite a strict place. That sounds like quite outrageous behavior.
Well, that passed for outrageous behavior at the time, yeah. And these two guys, if you knew them, Rick Nelson and Mike Boble, if you lose those two, you'll lose everybody. They were nice, and they were. One of them talked the CIA into hiring him, and the other one, I've seen Rick also. He's done well, but they were in general well behaved and just the kind of all around nice guy students that Catholic schools are trying to raise. Okay.
With a good sense of humor, clearly.
Yeah, and priests they felt like it's their sad duty to tell these guys off just a little bit without losing them for life.
Well, a lot of educators, I tell you, they laugh behind the scenes quite a lot. They may have.
Believe that. Yeah, I believe it now, and I wanted to believe it then, but I couldn't prove it.
Yeah, no. We won't let you prove it, but we'll have a good laugh behind closed doors.
Right. You just don't want to encourage more of
No.
certain kinds of behavior by letting them see you laugh.
Yes.
I get that.
Mind you, I'm not sure if it's different for priests.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, you think maybe we're done for today?
I'm happy.
I mean, on the recording only.
Or we can talk more about school if you want. You talk there's quite a lot here to go through, but I mean, I had a lot of questions. I just wasn't sure if how you wanted it to run.
Well, maybe we can go offline and talk about that and come back to recording in another session.
Yeah, or just carry on recording and then you have tons and tons to edit.
I'll cut it for now.
Okay.